Alright, let's try that again. So yeah, I just spent 55 minutes going through, doing multiple takes, trying to record, re-record, over a whole bunch of stuff. Got everything down maybe about right. And when I went back and loaded up the file in a video editing program, I realized that I'd forgot to change over to the proper resolution. So I had about, it's like the it's only had maybe about 2/3 of the screen to work with, and a whole section of the screen was completely cut off because I'm playing on a screen with a different resolution that I'm recording in. So I got that fixed this time, and hopefully this time I'll be able to to roll through a little bit more quickly, not waste quite as much time. Hello again. So back here, my survival single player world. Double quarry set up here that makes use of Comet 107's design in a way I think is kind of interesting. I don't know how efficient it is, but it's really cool to be able to set up something like this. It's fully AFKable. You can then leave running. Then it'll collect a interesting variety of resources, not take as long as some other setups might take. So I'll show you a quick look around. I have links in the description for what I'm using here, and hope you find something interesting. So the basic setup I'm working with here is I have a higher level quarry that goes across the top. I'm in a mesa or the Badlands biome, so I get a whole bunch of terracotta. Of course, you can do it in other areas, or maybe you can start somewhere else. And you can get a bunch of dirt and dark oak or whatever, and cross over into mesa biome. So you want to pick stuff based on what kinds of resources you want to get. I have the binary counter set to 16, so that'll take the top layers. That gets gets basically all the terracotta. I have behind that this little guy here. It's a TNT duper. It's 3-directional duper, showcased by Raiseworks. So I have a link to that as well. Like Comet 107 designed it. I think Raiseworks had some input as well. We worked on it together. And it's attached to an extension here, coming off part of the logic of the quarry. So every time that moves forward, it lets us pull forward one block and it sends it off. I was worried first about the bores when they come down, but when this part of the flying machine moves forward, it's the other flying machines don't send the bores down, so it'll go back and forth, and it won't be a problem. You don't have to worry about it blowing anything up, as I have it set up here. The second part, and that basically blows up everything down to have it set to like y equals 22 or something like that. You do have to go back and watch. Every now and again, they'll run into like single water source blocks or little water lakes or lava lakes that you need to clear up manually, so you can't just leave this running forever. This will end up running into some stuff later on. But this lower one is basically the same as the higher level one. I shortened it a little bit to fit down into this space here. Obviously, you can just bomb out everything, make it larger if you want, but I figured, yeah, it's interesting to see the flat walls and the bombed out section, so I just left it inside. The main thing you gotta look out for if you're doing something like that is that the TNT dupers are something like 9 blocks wide, so those and then the logic on the sides are what determine the length. All the bores are only 4 blocks wide, so as long as I start on this end and I built the TNT dupers, or I measured out the TNT dupers coming out to the side, and then I made sure there's room for all the logic in here to fit within this wall without bumping into anything, and then I could build all the bores going across and then build all the logic. So the main addition then. This is this little water stream setup. I've seen people make movable water stream setups with using item stands, whatever the stands with frostwalker boots on. I've not messed around with that, so I just set up a whole bunch of water source blocks with on one side leaves. When this gets pushed into here, the leaves will just break. So I have what's more or less a piston wall come down again, attached to one of the, just coming out as an extension off part of the logic there. So this whole little stream setup gets pushed forward, and it destroys one water source block, and on that side, and it opens up another one on this side. So you just set it up far enough forward so it'll give you time to work with, but not so far forward that'll get blown up by the TNT duper that blows this all out. And again, you have it's a fixed water stream on the side over here to collect everything, take it back to the sorting system. So that's the basic setup I have going on here. Then I just manually activate or deactivate them. This seems reasonable. Given that the higher one is a bit longer, the flying machines that go back and forth to run everything makes this take a good deal, a bit longer than this one here. So you probably add another extension, have a flying machine, hit a flying machine, and move something forward to let the logic move forward. This is probably the most elegant way of dealing with it, but for now I just keep this one running most of the time, and then I'll activate this one until it gets a little bit closer, then I'll turn it off, and then just keep this one running to leave space to make sure that none of this stuff gets blown up. Also make backups. If you're doing something like this, don't be afraid to make a bunch of backups. So now I'm up here at the clock for the upper quarry here. Just activate that. I'll start everything off so the fly machine's across. Have the setup so it's close to moving forward, so we can see everything work. Just gonna run through one time as normal. Just pulling out the stuff, setting everything up to harvest again. The other addition I made, this little thing so you can AFK in here, is when the flying machine that pushes this part forward comes down, it'll push the redstone block forward, which depowers this piston. It'll push the piston forward, moving next to the redstone block, which powers the piston, so just push this forward once every time the rest of it moves forward, and you have a solid block above your head, so you don't have to worry about phantoms. I'm playing on a higher render distance than I usually do around this, just to make sure I don't unload any of the minecarts for the duping setups. So it'll take a minute. We'll have everything of the basic collection system run, and then we'll go from there. Alright, now we have the last boars coming up. Oh, don't get knocked off. There you go. Push that forward. Some other things in motion, and it'll set off some of the basic stuff that enables the TNT dupers to work properly. It doesn't send off this flying machine up here that actually sends the boars back down. So just push everything over, set it up to be harvested again, and then the next time all these flying machines come back, it'll activate everything to actually move everything forward once, and that'll activate the extension with the TNT duper. So we'll come back when that's ready to happen. So here they are on their way back. Over here on the 3-directional TNT duper. Let's come back, we'll start to see additional logic move forward. Some other flying machines get pushed off to move the boars forward. And this thing itself will also get set off. Forward. Sets this thing off here. You have these 3 machines moving all the boars forward. And take a look down here. So one thing I was concerned about is I didn't want this to blow up any of the terracotta I'm trying to pick up, so I wanted to left a couple blocks back. Oop. So I went to these TNT stuff here. Another thing I was concerned about was the TNT knocked off. Yeah, it'll knock itself off sometimes, so it'll fly around a little bit. That's so close. I was concerned about it hitting these things here. So, you gotta leave a little bit of space between them. But this could really be a good deal closer. It just doesn't feel safe. So it does this. It'll clear everything pretty well down to that level there. You have to base the height on how far you want to clear it out to. You got to clear up manually single source water blocks, and little lakes or lava lakes will be up in here. You got to clear out, but the boars can handle pretty much everything else. You don't have the flying machine here that usually activates the boars, so you don't have to worry about them going down and getting hit by any of the TNT. And this duper will just stay where it is until the whole logic gets moved forward one block and the extension gets pulled along one more block. So it just does that every time. You just gotta be careful and count. Help make sure you're not adding too many blocks. And make sure you know when stuff's going to be set off so you don't get things pulled around at the wrong time if you want to add some extensions in here or there. I'm going to leave that one running. I have my render distance turned up a little bit higher than usual just to make sure all the minecarts and the dupers are dealt with properly. If they're too far away, the minecarts won't get dealt with properly and they'll fall off or stuff will break. So you got to be careful, make sure you keep everything loaded. So I have the AFK spot in the middle. But really I could just hang out on one of the sides with this kind of render distance and it'll still work fine. So go ahead and take a look at the lower level one. Oh. There you go. So I activate the clock, send the signal down, and set this off. And I already got it set up. So it's getting ready to move everything forward a block. So I'll get back when we ready for everything to move forward so we can see the ice set it move forward. Because everything's getting pushed by the glass or the observer rather than slime box, they don't get pushed off very far, they just fall straight down. Here's something to get moved forward. There's all that, the water cascades come down so it goes straight. This is basically just the wall pistons. Gonna have to add this in. Here, just an extra glass block because the water is flowing down. You'd occasionally lose a block or two over here. So that's the basic setup I'm working with. I have the lower one, a little bit thinner. I can't run it quite as often because it's a little faster than the upper one because this is a little bit shorter from side to side. But it's pretty good. Get a variety of things. There's not much variety here. You get some redstone, you get lapis and diamond. It's not a whole lot. Obviously it's not very efficient because you're not using fortune or anything like that. You're just blowing up the blocks. But it works. You collect a variety of other resources while I'm also mining out the top layer. Let's get all the terracotta up here. So this is an interesting project. It's kind of fun to work on. It's fun to figure out how to add in the additional elements of the water stream down here to add in the duper and that kind of thing. And it's not too bad to build. I don't have Lightmatic or any other schematic software, so something like this is a lot more feasible, a lot more practical than the larger, faster ones where you have a lot more blocks to place. It's going to take a lot longer, especially if you don't have the schematic software. This is about a full normal load. Give a decent amount of blocks each time in general. It's glass rather than slime blocks. It just falls straight down into the water stream. Let's go ahead and take a look down here real quick if I can get there in time. So I obviously have a lot more filters than is at all necessary. A better way of setting something up here would be to just collect it all at once into something like a double chest and then spit it out in like double hopper speed, whatever, into this setup, you could have a lot fewer and still be able to pick it all up. As at the current rate, because it just comes in batches, you need about 6 item filters to collect it to be able to prevent anything from flowing over. So I have for regular terracotta 6. The 7th one isn't really being used for brown terracotta. I think that's 5. And the 5th one is full. It actually overflows a little. So you either need to have like 6 for everything you're gonna get a large number of, or put it into like an intermediate or buffer storage, which is definitely the better solution. And you can have a lot fewer item filters. I just do this together real quick without really thinking about it much. But so yeah, don't do this. Set up a buffer storage and then put it down to a lot fewer, but it doesn't matter. And this ultimately sorts it into the shulkers. I end up with shulker boxes full of stuff. And yeah, I picked this location in part because there's a decent mace I can go for thousands of blocks, but it also had an end portal right here, so I can move everything to a sorting system, and I can move it easily to the end, and then from the end to spawn back in the overworld. So this one worked out pretty nicely. So that's the basic tour. Hope you found this interesting. Thought it was an interesting setup. You get both the higher level blocks on the surface, so you could mine out some forest if you wanted, get a bunch of dirt, other resources, and move into a mesa, or just do whatever you want to harvest it. But you can run multiple ones at the same time. So that's one way to speed it up rather than running like 64 or 32 blocks down. You can just do 16, then another for 16, another for 16, however you want to do it. Seems pretty good, pretty resistant to lava or water. The only problem with that is the TNT duper isn't going to clear stuff out if you don't clear it out. But the boars themselves that go down and collect everything seem pretty good. So yeah, and this was pretty easy to build without any kind of schematic software. So I definitely recommend it. You got to use. So I definitely took a bunch of screenshots and went back and forth between worlds, and had the screenshots open on another monitor in order to help build everything. You definitely want to take a few backups as you're testing things out, just to to make sure you don't break everything. I've done that a few times. And yeah, I just thought it was interesting to have 2 different ones next to each other, harvesting different sets of resources. I hope you found this interesting. I thought it was kind of cool. Figured I'd just toss it out there. I don't know what other uses people have come up with for these kinds of things, or other extensions or whatever else you found useful, but I thought this one was kind of cool. So, cheers.